Today I'm going to restore the middle section of a Victorian Sutherland table. There's two different types of veneer damage. There's blistering here and a completely missing patch of veneer here. So I thought I'd just show a technique to repair this. I've got to be honest, I haven't done it for a little while, so sometimes it's trial and error for me too. But where it's crinkled here, it's quite brittle, so if you just go over it with a veneer hammer, you're probably going to break out all the blisters. So I thought the best thing to do is to boil a kettle, get some tissue paper and put some boiling water on it, because heat will make the old animal glue sort of revert back to runny. So I've put some water on, some boiling water. And here I've got a block which I've heated up in the microwave. It's not overly hot, but it's fairly warm. The reason I use quite a thick block is because it will retain the heat for longer. So what I'm going to do is very simple. This is clamp the four corners down. Make sure your block of wood is smooth, because if you clamp hard against the veneer and it's rough, you're going to end up putting marks into the veneer, which is the last thing you want. So I put the clamps on all four corners to get even pressure. This is just the first attempt because this is the easiest and sort of least invasive way of putting this veneer down. There's other ways of doing it, so if this doesn't work first time around, you can try something else. But I always say restoration is a little bit like photography, because you watch it develop, and it's not till you take the clamps off and you look underneath you can see really what you've done. And sometimes it works fantastically and you sort of take the clamps off and you're really impressed with how easily it's repaired. And other times you're sort of a bit disappointed. I'll put a clamp in the middle because obviously the more pressure I get, the better the result. I can't really over clamp it because I've got a wide piece of wood, so there's a lot of surface area. It's not like you're putting a corner into the veneer and it's a very flat piece of wood. Sometimes I use a little piece of metal just to get a bit of extra leverage. Just that last bit of extra pressure sometimes can make quite a lot of difference. But so whilst these clamps are on, the veneer is going to start getting damp, and as it gets damp, the blisters will hopefully be pushed flat and be less brittle. But we'll see. So that's that one. As this block of wood's quite warm, if the glue underneath the veneer does become runny again, you need to leave it on quite a long time, because you want to actually make sure that you don't just lift it off so the veneer pops back up again. You actually want to make sure the glue does do its job and hold it down. So that's that one, which I can't really show you because it's going to take probably 20 minutes, half an hour before I even know if the results have worked. But this one, you need to get a little bit of veneer. I've got a burr walnut veneer here. I'm going to cut off a little section. So I'll cut off just a bit bigger than I need. And again, can you see how brittle that is? It just breaks. So that also needs to be dampened down. And actually, I think I've got some, which I've done before, preparation. So here we are. This is a piece I cut earlier. And I've had it pressing under some damp plywood. Well, plywood with tissue. And there we go. Because if you don't get the wood wet, it's very brittle, but you can see now it's quite flexible and easy to work. So generally what you'd like to do, or how I do it, makes it a bit easier, is get a piece of paper and just put it over where you've got the missing veneer and just quickly draw around it, and this will give the outline. You can see the outlines coming quite quickly. Now, right, so that's, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, you probably can, but you can see the outline is sort of like I draw the line straight, that's where the patch of missing veneer is, under there. So that's giving you the size, but you're not going to be able to cut it in perfectly into there. If you, I mean, I don't think anybody could do that because it's jagged and it's not very good. So what you do, you put this piece of paper over the veneer, and then you get a very sharp scalpel, which I'll probably lost somewhere. Anyway, you get a very sharp scalpel and cut around that. I'll just find the scalpel. It's always the way, isn't it? Right, here we go. I found a scalpel. So, and you just cut it so it's slightly oversized, not massively. So if I do just, you can see I'll probably cut it at sort of 3 or 4 millimeters over the size of the existing patch. And there we go. So cut it all the way around. Because it's a burr veneer, it's actually, when you put in patches, see that fits just over there now. So I'll take the paper off. And you can just see where I've done it. So it's just breaking. So I just go around there and finish off. So it's not gone very well on that side, so I'll just put that back there. Anyway, I was just a bit too gentle with the scalpel. Just need to push a bit harder. There we go. So that's now we've got our piece of veneer off, and you can see the veneer is now slightly oversized. So generally, what I'll do is get some sellotape to hold it in place, because the most frustrating thing when you're doing these patches is if it starts moving. You have to be patient, I'm afraid, because the sellotape's stuck now. So my preparation wasn't that good, was it? Oh well. I only have 2 rolls of sellotape, but one of them's disappeared. So hopefully my girlfriend will edit all this out, but we'll see. Oh look, there's my other trusty roll of sellotape. I don't know where that was hiding. So right, so I'm going to hold it into place with the sellotape. And you can see that will stop it moving. Really important to stop it moving, because it's the most frustrating thing. But what you do have to be really careful of is for your scalpel blade's really sharp, because if it isn't, it won't go through the veneer, and then this job won't be a good one. So just to be sure, these scalpel blades are very cheap. I'm going to fit a new scalpel blade straight away, and then there'll be no problem. Right, so the next thing I do is just go around just inside the edge I've cut, and I'm pushing it really hard because I want it to go right through both the veneers. Don't know if you can see how hard I'm pushing, but you have to be really careful when you come to the end, but it doesn't fly off. I mean, these are the scalpels that surgeons use, so you could do yourself a bit of damage. So go back round. That's that. I'll put a bit more sellotape. Because I've cut it now, I just want to hold that in place so it doesn't move. And it's a bit difficult with the phone in the way, to be honest. But anyway, you get the drift, so I'll go around. It's quite shiny, the light as well. And I'm sure many other people have different ways of doing this. Because I'm not saying what I'm doing is the right way, but if it works and creates a good result, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not how you get the result, it's the result at the end that counts. So I'm going to try and join up where I started. It's quite difficult because I can't really see where it was. I think that's it. So now you can see I've taken the patch off, so I've placed that carefully to one side. And you can see here where the edge of the veneer I've cut. So if I take all the sellotape off, and on the veneer below you can see a clear line. So now I need to really carefully follow that line, because this is the exact line of the patch. So if I go off this line, the patch isn't going to fit properly, and then you're going to end up having to put filler in, which isn't ideal. So that bit there where I cut it really hard, that's come off already, so that's good. It's a long time since we've done this. Perhaps one of the reasons I put this job off was because I was a bit worried about doing it, who knows. But I don't know why, because it's like all these jobs, once you start, they're not that hard. It's just technique. And that's what I'm showing you here. So hopefully it'll make it easier for other people. Right, so there we go. So I've pre-scalped the edges, and you need to find a sharp chisel. I might have one knocking around, but generally my chisel's blunt because I get used to much. Yeah, here we are. That one's fairly sharp, and then get under the edge, just start paring it away. Being very careful again. Just be careful where you scalpel it that you have actually gone right through. And make sure you don't chip any off, because this is really frustrating if you get too close and you go into the... So you take your time doing this bit. That seems alright actually. Yeah, so I'll go on this side. Before I started this, it was quite loose around here. I glued that down first because you can't cut away loose veneer. If you do that, it will just chip and you'll have massive gaps. So you can see a bit of glue under there already. I didn't do that very long ago, so you don't have to wait ages. Right, so there you go. So that's the patch cleaned, and I didn't, if you notice, I didn't take much of the original wood off, because the last thing you want to do is put a huge patch in, because you can't. But now I'm just cleaning off the dirt, off the groundwood. I just scrape a bit. If you want it to glue properly, obviously, and if it's got polish, sorry, you probably can't hear that because I'm making noise. If you've got polish and dirt on here, the veneer's not going to take. So I'll just clean it up. Make sure the edges where you scalpel are clean. And there you can see there was a little bit left here, which if you leave it, the patch isn't going to fit very well. It's going to sort of all buckle up a bit there. So that's it. Okay. Right, I've got some animal glue on the boil. Animal glue is great because it's reversible, and it's what they used originally anyway. So I'm going to put a little bit of animal glue in. Hopefully it's not too heavy. Just put it around my finger. I don't want too much, because if you have too much it's going to be a mess under there. Right, just get the glue off the edges. Well, that's not necessary, and put the patch in. And as you can see, that's a pretty good fit. I'm pretty impressed with that. Right, so now quickly I put a bit of paper between, because the last thing is you want the block to glue onto the patch. So maybe a couple of pieces just to be doubly sure. And then quickly get the patch on. I mean, you can use a veneering hammer, but when you're putting a small patch like that, often if you use a veneering hammer, all you do is push the patch. And just put it on carefully, because the last thing you want to do is clamp it and have the patch move under, and then it glues in the wrong place. I'll do one there. And there we are. That's 2 patches done. So I'll show some pictures of it when it's finished. Thank you.